Hello, everyone. I am Nkenge Browner. I'm the grassroots director at Mothering Justice, and we are having a community conversation tonight with one of our mothers, Tanisha Burton. I'm going to read Tanisha's bio and introduce her, introduce the work she does, and then we'll get into this conversation because she does some interesting work and the community at large needs to know about it. So, Tanisha Burton was born and raised in Detroit. She's a mother of 4 children and a grandmother of 3. She's a licensed life insurance agent for the state of Michigan, South Carolina, and Maryland. She is a leader, author, trainer, and mentor. She is the founder and CEO of Today is the Day Inc., a support organization for low-income families, individuals, youth, and young adults, and families with LGBTQ children. Today is the Day Inc. was started as a result of Tanisha being a single mother of 4 children and a mother of a trans woman, finding it hard to receive support in the minority community. She is a community stakeholder and participates in health research projects related to LGBTQ youth. As an author, she wrote, Stepping into Your Time and Place While Letting God Lead You. Currently, she serves as a mentor to young women through the Golden Girls Mentoring Group. She also volunteers as a parent leader and ambassador for different organizations. With Today's the Day Inc., she facilitates parent leadership, advocacy, early childhood literacy, and art therapy workshops and peer-to-peer kitchen tables mentoring for new moms and families and youth support groups with other organizations. She also serves the community by giving back diapers, food, time. She serves as a community member for Family Pediatric Group. We are welcoming Tanisha Burton, founder and CEO of Today is the Day. Hey, Tanisha.
Hi, Nikanja. Thank you for having me.
We are so happy you're here. So one of my first conversations with you, you started to tell me about Today is the Day. I never heard of Today is the Day specifically, but also of any group that did the work that you're doing. So can you tell the rest of us some more about what is Today is the Day?
Yes, Today is the Day came about helping families that who have LGBT youth need resources, being safe at home, support as a parent. When I was a parent, a single mom, I have a trans woman daughter that um, was not getting the services they need in school, and she wasn't being the safety of her because of her gender, that she wasn't safe at school. And so when I was trying to reach out to different organizations to help and find out what I can do, then we had to form. I couldn't get no help because my daughter's a trans woman. Period. I just couldn't get no help. When you talk to moms or parents or anybody about you have a child in that community, it's like everybody shut down on you. So, yep. So today they came an empowerment group for parents, so we can help other parents to get the services for their children to be safe out here in this community, in this world. And so that's where today they've come from. And then we started as parent group, and then the youth said, "Hey, what about us?" So we started bringing the youth in. And then we found out a lot of youth was not getting the support services they was getting at home, or they was running away, it was homeless or something like that. So we started to figure out how we can bring them in to make them feel welcome and how to bridge their family back together.
Okay. So many of us know that LGBTQ youth suffer from some of the highest homelessness rates versus the demographics of other youth. And we also know that there's a lot of violence against trans youth, trans people in general, but trans youth experience violence oftentimes firsthand in their own homes. When your daughter let you know that she was trans, did you feel like you knew how to help her? Did you feel like you knew what to do next? Did you feel like you had the answers already, or were these things that you had to go out and find?
Well, no parent has all the answers. And so, no, I didn't feel like I had the answers. So when I did try to reach out to find help for my daughter, um, I I couldn't find it. I would they would not. It was like a lot of people just shut me out. I've been in the community
Mm,
for a long time doing parent trainings for different organizations, but as soon as you mention that your child is in the community, people really don't really want to help you, or it's like you're a bad mom or you're a bad parent because you have a child in that community or something. So it doesn't matter what your history is, um, of you raising other kids, or you've been an advocate for other kids or parents. That didn't matter. It's like, oh, you have a child in that community, you must be bad. So it was very hard
mhm,
to get the right sources. So I had to make sure she had the right health care, right, therapy, or just make sure that I, as a parent, to make sure I'm saying the right things to make sure her mental well-being as well.
mhm. Why do you think a lot of that some parents, um, when their youth comes out to them, unless their parents know that or they're outed, and either way, their parents realize that their youth is part of the LGBTQ community. Why do you think that there's a resistance towards parents, one, accepting their child, and two, seeking out services like you did?
I, like you said, some parents, I think it's more a cultural thing. To be real, um, us black culture, we don't. Now it's out there more, but back when my daughter came out, it was, or before that, it was a secret. Everybody knew that she was might be in that community, but by her being a trans woman, it was a whole different ball game. It's like you want to be a
Mhm.
male from a woman or a woman from a male. It's a whole bit different ball game. I can accept you as being gay or lesbian or something like that, but by them changing their whole um by her, not gonna say they, because some people accept their kids. So why
Mhm.
her changing the whole atmosphere, it was a whole different people just people look at you like you did something wrong, or it's a religion
Mhm.
thing. God don't, you throw the religion thing in there. Say, and I believe in God. I believe, but where it says, "Who's you to judge?" And so what make me better than God? But people say, well, that'll be a biggest thing. Like, um, she couldn't come to different churches or what. It was a lot, and it was more our culture, because I can go to different cultures and I can get all the help I want. But as soon as I ask, in our culture, it's like it's a stigma on us, saying like you black, we throw our kids away. We do, it's a lot. So it was a lot to get help. People look at you different way, like why you accept that, or it might be because people feel like somebody, um it's the way they feel, way they was raised. So uh, it's just basically like, if you don't know, how can you address it, like I tell everybody, my child, I birthed her, she's my
Mhm.
child, she will always be, all our kids seeing some kind of way, but do we throw them all away, so as long as I birth and as long as I can raise, I could be able to continue on inspiring her, still getting it out there in the streets.
Absolutely. I love that. We love to hear a mama say that. Like, whatever my baby need, whatever my baby do with their life, I'm here. I'm your mother. You still came for me. Okay. What support is the black community, specifically the black parent community, missing? What are we missing? What do we need?
I think we missing, it was hard to navigate through healthcare system, you know. So teaching us how to navigate through the healthcare system to make sure our children getting the right services. Um, Also, making sure they have the right therapy, because some of our kids are going through not just depression but mental illness, things like that. So we gotta make sure we missing them type of services, or making sure our kids have the right services. Also, as a black kid, just the simple things, just listening to our children, being open and willingness, just supporting our children, just to see what what they want. Like they want to be in this community. Find out what is this community. Who are the people they want to be? Guide them through the system. Make sure you're around people who are positive for them. Also showcase them. I mean, I love my daughter. Everybody know about my daughter. Because everybody know I have 4 children, but everybody know all my children, not just the 3. They know all 4. They know my daughter Jasmine. I'm gonna showcase. I'm gonna show her picture. I'm gonna show everybody who she is. So be proud of what you created, what you birthed, what you designed. If it's any other your children, if you'll be proud of them. You be trying to show them all their talents. So that's where we missing that. We want to have that one child, that one, our kids, because they in that community. So as a black parent, we need to make sure we showcase and show everybody, this is what I created. This is my babies.
I love that. And I think that parents, we spend so much time, us as parents, our parents, we spend a lot of time telling our kids. I know I was always taught not to be a follower, always be myself, that my uniqueness was praised my whole life up until about teenagehood, where you start to be something different than what your parents assumed for you to be. And I've talked to other trans folks who have said things like, their parent was so attached to their identity, and they would say things like, I didn't have a boy, I had a girl, or the reverse of that, or I named you this, so that's what I'm gonna call you,
Right.
and things like that. As a mother, how were you, or what was your journey like of accepting that this child is not going to be what you assume she would be when you had her? Her name would be different. She's needing you to address her differently. How did you detach from, like, you had your little baby, you have all your dreams and hopes and how they gonna look and all of that. And then this baby grows up and it's its own person. How were you able to detach your desires for your child versus her desires for herself?
Well, I'm gonna say, it took it. I had to make sure my child was really ready for who she wanted to be, because for years before she got to high school, she would say, "I'm not gay. I'm not this. I'm not that." So, I wanted to make sure this is who you really are. This is who you want to be. And so I went through the classes. I went to the parenting classes. I went to every therapy appointment with her, or whatever that she wanted to involve in. I was there. So when that point when she said yes, this is who I am, this is who I want to be, I was able to support her in that, because I had to walk the walk with her. It's I hate to say it, but my child was kind of funny. She had her little things that she was doing around, and I was like, okay, she got to be something, but it never said she was gonna be a trans woman, But wherever she went, I always taught my kids years ago when it was little, were the best at it, and I'm gonna be there. So, yeah, I'm not the perfect mom. We had our, like I said, I had to go through the therapy with her. I had to sit there to realize who she is. Um, I ain't gonna say, oh, I didn't want, I wouldn't want my child. I would love to have my child to be this person, but she not feeling who she is in her body, and she acting out and going through so much as in behavior problems and things like that, because she can't be the person she is, then why would I make her be somebody she not, you know? So we had to
Mhm.
figure that out together. So that's why I say again, really, really, you have to listen to who your child is, and you have to be open and willing to have an open heart to say, okay, I'm ready to accept this, you know. And so if you are open and you that mom or that, person, then, or father, because it's just not just the black moms, but that the fathers too, that, raising um LGBT community. So black parents, period. That's what we do, black parents, period. So we're gonna make sure that you have to listen to your kid and see who your kid is to make sure they getting the right services.
Mhm.
They can be the best they can
Absolutely.
be.
So often, we have our family in our house. We got our mama,
Mhm.
other parents, sometimes not. We have our siblings and all that in our house, right?
Mhm.
And I would say for my household, I could do anything, not anything, could do any self-expression. Anything I told my mom, if I said I want to shave my head, I want to do this, I want to do that, my mom was like, cool. When I went outside of there to my grandma's or my cousins or my aunties, then she would almost she was often attacked for not being strict with us or not having
Mhm.
control over us and things like that. So I bring that up to ask, you went through your own journey as a mother in your house. Overall, you knew you loved your baby and you were proud of her no matter what. But then we got family outside the house.
Mhm.
Is there Did you have to navigate dealing with the opinions, pushback of family, or were they as accepting and as ready to do the classes and kumbaya with you as you would have liked?
I personally didn't have to deal with that because I'm a stern parent, you know what I'm saying? And my family loves me for who I am, and I'm gonna be who I am. Who I
Mm-hmm.
am, what you see is what I am. So they might have their opinions, but they didn't come to me with it. You see me? Because everybody
Okay.
knew I love my children for who they are. Now, my family and my daughter's other father's side of the family, they wasn't really accepting to her being who she is for a while, but now they love her to death. But they wasn't gonna disrespect her. Like I should tell
Okay.
everybody, you don't have to um like you don't have to like what she does, but you have to respect her. You know, and I always put that out there across the board, and everybody know I'm about my kids. All my children. So yeah, you don't have to agree with her lifestyle. You don't have to agree with their lifestyle, whatever. But one thing you're gonna do is respect my children. So if you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to call her Jasmine, whatever, but you're not gonna call her her former name.
Mm-hmm.
You can call her Miss Wright. You can call her, she, or come here, or whatever. But you're not gonna disrespect. And I would not put my child in that harm's way. But when but she had to teach me, because I was one of the parents. I was like, oh wait a minute, ready to fight or ready to argue, or
Mm-hmm.
if I heard you call them, you just gonna now you just doing it because you want to do it. You didn't even get used to it. I wanted to say something, and then she was like, no, mom, they get there, and she wouldn't respond. They call her a different name or they didn't respect her, she wouldn't respond. So I had to learn from her. She respect herself enough to not to reply. Why I have to reply.
Mm-hmm.
So um, and like I said, right now my family and they love, they proud of who she is, and that's my granddaughter or that's my niece, or that's how they introduce her now. But it took a minute for my siblings, or but they never disrespected her. Those are all made across the board. You might don't like her lifestyle, but you got to respect her, And for you to ask that question, my sister said one of our cousins had actually asked them how was they as able to accept Jasmine for who she was, and she had told them, if my sister accept her own child, who's us to disrespect her, for who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how they went, and everybody across my family just, they respect who she is.
I appreciate so many things you said in that. And one of the things you said, I wouldn't put my child in harm's way. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of times, because there's so much trauma in the Black community, that when we think about harm or our children being harmed, we think about like very like overt in your face violence, right? And harm is not always punching somebody in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, if you bring your kids around family members who are saying disrespectful things to them, you are putting them in harm's way. And I know that I was trained as a child to just ignore it, like that's just how she is. She doesn't mean it, that he don't mean no harm by it. And learn to like let people disrespect me or say things, especially if they were an elder. And I think it's beautiful that you are putting out there, and I hope other parents watching this understand that if you're training your child to let people, because they are family or friends, whatever, not respect them, you're still putting them in harm's way. Mm-hmm. They might not be getting, they may not be bruised and black and blue because of it, but it is harmful to let people make your child feel disrespected and uncomfortable, and for you to be in that space and let it happen. The second thing that I want to draw attention to, you said that like you learned from her. I feel like my mother is the same way. If anybody's saying anything, she ready to fight, argue. And I sometimes just didn't want the thing to get that big. You know what I mean? I just wanted to be, and she didn't understand. I deal with this all the time outside of you, Mom. I have to navigate a system that you didn't have to navigate. Mm-hmm. And wonderful that you were like, that you, as a mother, I think sometimes as parents, we have a hard time realizing that we can learn something from not just our kid, but any younger person. It's just like, no, I'm old and wise. I know everything. You don't know nothing. Mm-hmm. But that you watched your child not react, and you watch, and I still think it is a very like defensive act to not respond to a dead name, to not respond to something that is not your name. And then you just like, I'm not about to argue with you. I'm just not coming to see what you want. So talk to yourself, have fun. Mm-hmm. That is one way of handling it. And I feel like I love that she taught you that you ain't got to fight everybody. I'm just not answering it. They ain't talking to me. That's not, that disrespect is not even hitting because they're not talking to me. So my next question is, how have other parents supported you as a mom, as an individual mom, and the work that you do?
Have other parents support me as a mom because they support my for one, to start off, they respect their children who are in the community. I'm helping them to learn how to empower their children. And so, and by them respecting their children, I love that. Some people, like you said at the beginning, they had catch themselves calling you or he, you always born a he. Now they call their child she, or they call their child he. They're respecting who they are, because they learning from the work that I have done and put it out there through the workshops, how to empower their child. Also just respecting my child, as a mom personally, I can't put that out there enough that please, if you respect them, if you respect them, they respect you. You can't say, oh, your child did this to you, and then you don't respect who they are. And then they share the resources of everything I do. Anything I put out there for the LGBT community, they definitely sharing the resources. They showing up. They supporting me in that field to make sure these youth are getting the services they need. If I wanted to do um, hygiene kits, they donate to that, for the homeless to use, or you're just trying to find, um, or they refer other parents who need our services to make sure that we are helping these other children, or trying to help other parents bridging their families back together. So as a mom, or just other mothers who supported other mothers. So, what I don't know, I definitely listen to them to see what they know, if I can help mine or help somebody else's. So we all a network supporting each other. So to make sure we service our children and other children in the city, to make sure they get what they need.
Okay, I love that, and I love just the community across the city. So I just want to update anybody who may have just joined us. I'm Nkenge Browner from Mother and Justice, and we are talking with Mama Viz Tanisha Burton, who is also the founder and CEO of Today is the Day. And Tanisha, I'm going to ask you again, what is today, for anybody who just joined us, what is Today is the Day? What service do you all provide?
So Today is the Day is a resource group for LGBT community, youth, and their families. We provide programs, workshops that help self-empowerment, um, self-care, health and wellness, job readiness. We try to connect parents to be empowerment mentors, they loved ones, someone who's in the community don't have no one. So that's what Today's the Day does.
That's beautiful. How can people get in touch with you or Today is the Day?
You can get in touch with me. We have an email. Our website has been revamped, but when you come back up, it is www.todaystheday.com. But our email is info@todayisthedayinc.com. And you can also always contact me by phone, and that's 313-353-7868.
Okay. Can you repeat that number for us, just in case people were typing or getting it down a little slow?
My phone number is 313-353-7868.
And then I wanted to ask you, I feel like oftentimes, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I feel like oftentimes Black mamas respond to things with fear, and it may come off as anger. I think we're often regarded as like angry Black women, but it's a lot of fear. I think that we unfortunately, due to the amount of Black youth death that we have to think about, we think about the safety of our children all the time. And there are some folks who are just straight up homophobic, like that's just who they are. And then I think there are some parents who are deeply concerned and worried, right? Because the fact of the matter is, if you identify as an LGBTQ person in this country, you are more likely to experience violence, unfortunately. And so I think that sometimes when youth come out to their parents are worried about how they may be perceived, but they're also concerned about thinking that their child is going to be living this crazy lifestyle that could potentially put them in harm's way. And because they know that some people will actually just want to beat them up or do other violent acts because they're gay, or LGBTQ, whatever part of the however they identify. So how would you advise, or how do you deal with the fears of knowing that your child would be in this, with your child's identity essentially puts them at a higher risk for violence?
So we have to teach our child how to handle discrimination. That's not something we actually teach our children, especially in this community. But you also have to go back again of being supportive and knowing what crowd your child or who your child is around. You know, when my
Mhm.
daughter first came in the community, when I first all I knew was I seen was there was fighting, there was arguing, and I was like, oh my God, what I'm going to
Mhm.
do? You know, besides me being prayed up, I was like, oh my God. But when I started actually being involved and learning that and praying that God that she put my child around people that is um who won't, you know, who has a positive outlook. Everybody in the LGBT community is not violent. You
Mhm.
know, and so when I say my daughter been around some amazing, powerful people that I don't worry. I could sleep at night, you know,
Mhm.
um, because that you because you have to instill something in your child to be somebody in life. If
Mhm.
you all you instill in your child violence and you see her around violence, then what you expect? But if I put my child in a group of people who is very successful, around people who successful and doing something with their life, then that's what they're gonna grab her because they're gonna see the potential in her and make sure she's successful in what she do too. Empower
Mhm.
her. So as a parent, you have to make sure your child is empowered by wonderful people, you know. So I sleep at night wonderful because I know that my child being around since she in high school, around since she came out and since she been in high school, around wonderful people who wants to be somebody in life, and they just took a embrace of her to see the potential in her and pull it out, and they guide her in the right directions of what it was told her areas that I can't be at. I know she with people that who can keep her safe.
Mhm. That's wonderful. And I think that when we shed our kids out, I think a lot of parents, especially with LGBTQ youth, or just really anything a parent
Mm-hmm.
decides they don't like a lifestyle. We say often people say lifestyle and they're talking about queer youth, but or queer people, but lifestyle is a lot of stuff. Can be a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things. When you as a parent get angry and decide, well, I'm just not dealing with that. I'm not calling you that. I ain't dealing with you. I ain't dealing with your friends, none of that. Then you don't know anything about your child, who they hanging with, who they kicking it with. You make them more vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
to people who may want to harm them or use them or something like that. So um staying involved, being involved, and it sounds like you're being very honest about when you first came in, you had a little bit of discomfort. You didn't know what was going on for a minute, but you stayed in there. You found the classes, you figured it out. And I think that when other people see that this person has an advocate, this person got a mama who don't play about her, they treat you differently. You're not somebody that they can just, somebody can just grab. And I think about how many trans women that I've worked with and I've known that have just come up missing for long periods of time and things like that. And there was just nobody looking for them or nobody thinking about them or whatever because they were so disconnected from their family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really applaud anybody who it's okay to be uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable with a lot of stuff my kids do that don't have nothing to do with being LGBTQ. You're gonna make your parents uncomfortable with your hair, your style of dress, your music at some point. But we have to stick it out and figure our child out so that we know who is getting access to our child and not have them in a situation where they're out looking for love and mothering and
Right.
family from any old body because we
Mm-hmm.
took it from them, like who they are. And someone asks, are there any LGBTQ parent resources?
So I always got to plug today's a day. It's a parent resource. We also have, I don't shoot down nobody else's organization. So, you got Ruth Alice, you got Trans Women Up, you have the
Mhm.
affirmations, um, the LGBT, uh, Q, that's more for adults, but yeah, so them organizations more geared towards the youth, the ones I named, so they can always go to either one of them organizations. You know, but we their core, I ain't gonna say we today is more was designed for our black cultures. So and and that's because it's hard to find um, groups that deals with parents and their children. A lot of them just strictly for the youth. So
Mhm.
the difference between us and other organizations, we really deal with the parent and helping both to get together, and the youth and the parent, not just the parent, not just the youth. I'm sorry.
Someone wants to know, hey Felicia, when are the meetings for Today is the Day?
So our meetings will start on. It will be Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. We start in March. So if you email me, I can send you a list out again at info uh, when our first meeting gonna be. But we are on Wednesday afternoons from 3 to 5, and then Saturdays and Sunday it'd be like from 12 to 2. And we usually do all our meetings are with it's for the youth, but also if the parent want to come, we can also you can interact with the parent. It's for the whole family. But we do I'm sorry. Um, I'm sorry. We do more. We'll do meals for all our meetings. So we making sure we like a Sunday fun day, or Saturday. We always make sure it's a family style meal with an activity, or where support group, wherever we want to talk about that day. So that's where. So again, you can email me at info@todaystoday.com, and I can send you out the locations and the meeting days, because we change up each areas. Depends on what the area is. Um, the most area that we downtown, and we also have one at on the east side. So different days. So you email me at info@todaystoday.com, and I can send you out a list.
Absolutely. I love a family style, and I think even that how making sure that food is present and all are welcome is very much rooted in like the cultural needs of black and brown folks, specifically black folks. And I appreciate you naming that Today is the Day caters to black mamas, because I think a lot of times we are other orgs, they might, of course, they're okay with us coming, but they're not set up. We're not the focus. Black mamas are often not the focus. We're not centered. So I appreciate that we are centered, that you're naming that you're like, hey, we open to everybody, but we are culturally specific for Black mamas. So that's who we centering. So I wanted to get into your advocacy a little bit. We're so happy at Mother and Justice to have you as a mom of this. You doing some very, very unique work. I feel like most of the work around the LGBT community, it is being done by people who identify as LGBTQ. Maybe, they see something was missing as a youth or something like that. But for you to come in and do this work when in all honesty, it's a lot just to be a mom and figure out your child, figure out the four of your children and give them what they need. What made you say this work is bigger than just me and my daughter? Like I need to have this organization. I need to have these meetings. What makes you give that that energy, that time, that money, because we all know when nonprofits first start up, the funding directors coming straight out their pocket, especially if it's food involved. What has you doing all that when you really could have just said, I'm gonna work on me and my child and leave it at that?
What made me actually, when my daughter was in high school, and I've always been an advocate for children, for one. But when my daughter was in high school, and one of the teachers actually called her out in front of her whole class, and my child was so um, hurt. And
When you say called her out, give us a little
so
bit
my
of what you
daughter
mean.
lived a life when she was in high school. If you didn't come in ninth grade with her, you would not know that my daughter was somebody else. It was a male. Okay.
Okay.
So when you got to 10th and 11th grade, and a teacher, a staff member, not a teacher, but a staff member, come into a classroom and call her out and tell her, hey, I don't care who you want me to call you, as long as you got a penis in between your legs, you're gonna be this person to me,
So
whole
I just want
class.
to clarify. Dot staff member said this to your underage child.
Right.
Oh, good.
And
Okay, continue. I'm sorry.
so when my everybody who knows me, that I've been involved in all my children's life, as in school and everything, so oh, Tanisha's gonna be, Miss Burton's coming. So my daughter couldn't breathe. She was just, having a panic attack. She was, she was really upset. She was mad. And so as a mom, I had to, like, wait a minute, we don't do that. No, don't go destroying your life. I had to step in. So I had to fight with the school system to make sure they put things in place, so nobody else kid would feel like that the way my daughter felt that day, because the school system didn't have anything in place, you know. So when and thank God for the principal, who I love, the principal who was there. She stood behind us, and she's like, Miss Bird, I got you. But I had to call down to the school system, to the legal department. I had to make sure the social workers was make sure my daughter is safe. So when I did that, I had to make sure, let them know it's not just my daughter, because you're doing it to my child. It's a lot of kids in this whole school, in that community, and they was always coming to the little groups, small support groups, but they would say, nah, the staff ain't gonna let us do A, B, and C. I should always hear this, like, no, the staff ain't gonna let. So they didn't have nobody else. They didn't have a parent coming up there fighting for them. So I felt like I had to fight for all the children in that school. And so from there, I just made sure. And then I had to see that parent. Social workers bring me in to talk to a parent when a child wanted to come out. They come out to a parent, and the parent didn't know what to do and know how to accept their child. And so, because they didn't want their family to judge them as a parent, they didn't know how to support. So that's where today had to come across. It wasn't just a regular, oh, I'm going to pray for me and my kid, but it was so many children in that one school that wasn't getting the support and feel safe in that school because they couldn't be who they was. So that's where I had to step in and say, no, it's bigger than me and my child, But that's the situation that actually helped me realize that made today what it is. I had to say, nope, I'm gonna be the parent to all these kids, And this organization represent everybody.
That's phenomenal. Felicia says you are a pioneer in that space. Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely. And I don't fault anybody for, saying I'm taking care of my child. That's all I got the energy for. But definitely, like, hold on, speaking to children. Hey, take that upstairs. I can't hear. I appreciate any parent who says, this is not just about my child. This is about your school system. This is about how y'all handling stuff. And you put systems in place. We have Alana saying that is so powerful.
Thank you.
You put systems in place that once your child, I think you said her age earlier, she grown actually, I keep saying child,
Right,
but she your
grown now.
child. Yeah. But once she left, she not in high school no more. And these
No.
systems are still there. And these administrators and these staff and these teachers are more educated and better at their job. And when social workers who are, trained, have specific training, specialized training, to work in these schools, bring you in, I appreciate them acknowledging that you were the expert and the pioneer in this space and that you needed to be brought in. But it's so beautiful and wonderful that you just decided, no, this is not just about my baby. This is about all the babies here and the ones that's gonna come when I'm not parenting no more teenagers or whatever the case may be, and totally changing that system. And that's what advocacy is, right? Self-advocacy is cool. Do a lot of self-advocacy, and that's okay if that's all people have in them. That's nothing to be ashamed of. But people who advocate way beyond that, and to have this, to start it, and to continue it is just so beautiful and wonderful. And we really, really want to see Today is the Day continue to be around. I wish it would have been around because, Lord, listen, when I didn't even come out it in high school, and my daddy was just like, I don't know what. He just dropped me off at Ruth Ellis and kept driving. He didn't know what to do. It was no nothing. He thought P flag was for gay people, so he didn't want to come. So I just appreciate the work that you're doing on a personal note, but also as a person that does social justice work as well. I'm so glad you're in this space. What can folks do? Folks who are watching this, folks who are going to come back to this, how can we help Today is the Day continue? What do y'all need? What do you need? How do we make sure Today is the Day keeps on happening in this community?
So, I mean, what Today need? We just need support. When I say support, I mean we always need somewhere to meet, because it's hard, to be honest, until we actually be blessed with our own location and building. It's hard to find a space to meet in when you're dealing with LGBT community. Everybody's not open to that community. So if we have free space or anything that, you can say, hey, you can come meet over here. We definitely would love you to reach out to us. We always need donations, monetary. We have a Cash App, Today's Today Inc. We always buying, like you said, we always buying something out. If we're not getting the grants yet, we always continue on, and we're making sure our families have what they need. If it's from hygiene kits to self-care kits, whatever, food, whatever they need, we making sure they have it. Just the resources. So, but please share our information. We revamping our logo now, so we will be having our website up soon, back up soon again, because we revamping our logo. So just share our information. We if you have any grants that we can apply for, send them to us. We can apply. If you know how to write a grant, we need grant writers to help us write grants for our organization. So and just keep supporting your children. Support other children who's in this community, or just families who need your help. That everybody don't ask for it, but you're around somebody who need a supportive person or a supportive family member or mental health, or just give somebody some resources, in that community. Don't look at them like they nobody. They are human beings. So we all need the help. So please make sure, especially our youth, help them out. Encouragement words, support, some love, all that helps. So that's what we try to make sure we tell families, tell people to encourage your children. Today, when you hear today's day, it's like today's day is do what for you. Today's support. Today's encouragement encourage. Today's the day to love. So when you think about today's the day, what is today's the day to do?
Beautiful. Beautiful. So first of all, I love that you said if you write grants. A lot of times folks just forget that part. Like donations and helping people do things, it's not always money. If you like, I ain't got the money to give right now, but I got to hook up with a caterer who gives away food sometime. I know how to write a grant. If you know how to design logos, set up a website, your time is money too. And if this is a skill that you have and you want to be able to support an organization like this, if you want to be able to put support today is the day, and you like, I can't really reach in my wallet right now. If you can't reach in your wallet, we love to see it. Nonprofits never believe. One of the mistakes I used to make when I started trying to donate money is thinking like I had to wait till I had a lot of money to donate. Nonprofits and Black mamas know how to make $50 turn into a meal. Whatever you have to donate is substantial and people will make it work. One. Two, if you don't have money, but you have any of those other things Tanisha named, whatever you have, and you want it redistributed to the community, because you got an extra 100 pair of new socks that you just don't know what to do with, new socks, gloves, whatever, you can get it to this org and it's redistributed to people who are in need, and that it gets into, and that love is just spread around and it touches as many people as possible. So anything that you are able to do, you can get in touch with Tanisha directly, get in touch with MJ and we'll get it to her, however that works. But this org needs to keep happening, needs to be supporting the community. You can follow up. Well, first I want to say, Alana said, even the name makes the point. Today is the day to love, to support, so on. You can follow up with Tanisha by emailing info@todaysthedayinc.com. Did I say that right? It's inc.com?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or calling directly at 313-353-7868. If you are a parent, family member, grandma raising a baby, whatever the case may, raising a child, whatever the case may be, and you're dealing with whatever shame, embarrassment, anger, disappointment, whatever that may be, reach out to somebody who was doing this work. Reach out to a mother who has been through it, and figured it out and navigated this system already. You are not alone, and your child needs you, and you need your child in many ways. So making sure that orgs like this org is maintaining family relationships. It's not just about accepting whatever your child does or doesn't do or whatever. It's maintaining these lifelong relationships and keeping black families together, and helping us learn to navigate all of these systems, right? From the mental health system, which is stigmatizing the Black community, the LGBT community that's stigmatizing the Black community. All of these things, all of these systems that are in place to help us maintain ourselves and our families are happening, and you can reach out to Today is the Day to get that support from a mama who understands, who is similar to you, who has been through the things that you have been, to, and had some of the shared life experiences. Tanisha, as we wrap up, first of all, thank you so much for the work you do, for this conversation, for being with us, for all the offerings you have made. If there is a parent right now watching this whose child, maybe they're estranged, they came out a while ago and they disconnected from them, or they just kind of came out and they just feel like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this child. What advice would you give a parent struggling with their child's identity?
First thing I would say, go back to be open-minded. So sit down with your child and have a serious, open conversation. So one thing I used to always do with my child was, this is a conversation, nobody get in trouble. You can say whatever you want to say, so I could get to know what I'm doing wrong or what I'm doing right, or if I can get to know what you need, you know. And when I was open and willing to do that, I learned a lot. So have an open mind, willingness to do and hear your child, listen. And when you do that, you will be all right to figure out where your child fit in. You know, they might be, it might be a phase. You never know. It might, you know, but they don't know until you actually have a, you know, which way to direct them, you know. So, but you have to be willing to have an open and so you do that. I think you'll be all right. You know, be supportive. If your child already came out and you haven't, you been be supportive. Find out what can I do to support you. You know, we don't have to as parents. Like I tell my kids all the time, I'm your parent, not your friend. You know, so I don't have to be support. I don't have to be all right with everything you do, but I can be supportive to make sure you're doing the right thing in the right way.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much. We are going to wrap up and close out. We appreciate you again. The you can reach Tanisha at info@todayisthodayinc.com or call in the number we have on our site. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Tanisha, again, thank you for your work, and we will see you next time.
Thank you. Thank
Peace,
y'all.
y'all.
Peace.
Peace.